Other breaking news out of the NFL, Jeff Saturday cut a promo yesterday in his first press conference. He has worn the same little three-quarter zip thing, but with the collars down because he wants to be professional. His hair looks fantastic. Obviously, a week ago, he was preparing for what Pancakes episode he was going to put on Get Up in the morning with Mike Greenberg and team on Get Up on ESPN. Now he's preparing to take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Him getting hired as the interim head coach with zero NFL experience, not only the first time in 61 years that has happened, but also met with a lot of scrutiny. A lot of people saying this guy isn't fucking ready for this job. This dude is experiencing hella privilege right now because his friend owns a team. He's getting a head coach in the middle of the season. He's just the interim head coach. Things seem to be not going great at all for the Indianapolis Colts. They put up -2 offensive yards in the first quarter against the Patriots. -2. If Jeff Saturday somehow manages and motivates this offense to have 0 yards in the first quarter this week, it'll be a fucking upgrade over what it has been. But nonetheless, the hiring processes have been called into question. Jeff Saturday's legitimacy has been called into question, and his readiness for the job of the NFL, being one of 32 on earth, has been questioned mightily. And Jeff Saturday wanted to address that yesterday in a press conference, and this is how he handled it.
Here's the deal. Everybody talks about I'm completely comfortable in who I am as a man, bro. I know I can lead men. Bro. I know the game of football, and I'm passionate about it. I have no fear about, are you as qualified as somebody else? Bro, I spent 14 years in the locker room. I went to the playoffs 12 times.
Sheesh.
I got 5 dudes in the Hall of Fame that play with it. You don't think I've seen greatness? You don't think I've seen how people prepare, how they coach, how they GM, how they work? I mean, won Super Bowls, been to 2. Like, here's the deal, man. None of us are promised a good job. I may be terrible at this. And after 8 games, I'll say, God bless you. I am no good. I may be really good at it. I got no idea. But I dang sure ain't going to back down. I can tell you that.
What did that say to you, AJ? That was Jeff Saturday, who was being told, probably by Conti, hey, here's the things that, as you go in your first press conference, here's the things you're going to get asked about. Okay, obviously, you have 0 experience, you've never coached before, and you came out of left field, and you said the first time you were called was in the middle of the game on Sunday when Jim Irsay called you, and you asked, why am I a candidate for this? So people are going to question your legitimacy or whatever, so be ready for that. And Jeff Saturday's going to, people are telling me, I don't know football. Is that what people were saying? Okay. And they're like, yeah. And probably first question out the gates, Jeff was like sitting on the fucking hanging curve. Here it comes. Boom. I'm out of here. I think he went after it. I think people appreciated his transparency. But a lot of the people that hate him being hired said the automatic thing, this guy doesn't even know he's going to be good. This guy says he could stink. It's like, I think that's the authenticity that makes a good coach, which he continues to display traits that make somebody a good coach. Will he be a good coach? We're all waiting, including Jeff Saturday, to see, I guess.
Yeah, he doesn't know. I mean, he's gonna do whatever it takes, whatever he thinks it's gonna take to win, and see what happens. But I mean, he's a talker. Like Jeff is very smart. I feel like that's why he's so good on TV. Why ESPN likes him. I remember when I was in Green Bay with Jeff for a year. We visited the Green Bay prison there with some guys and our wives, and Jeff stood up and talked to all the prisoners and everyone, and was like gave an inspirational like whole thing to all of these people. Like, it's really cool to see now. This presser, like, yeah, that's Jeff. Bruh, come on. Bruh.
I know. I loved it. Darius, yeah, whenever you hear that, when that makes its ways around the internet, it got over like 2,200 retweets from my tweet of it in about an hour. I mean, very active. Yeah. There was obviously some negativity to it because there's always going to be that, especially with the whole process. But listening to him say that, I'm like, hey, Jeff feels like he's got the right mindset going into this. I appreciated it. I actually did.
I loved it. And a lot of what he said was real. And that's the most important thing when you're standing in front of the team, most importantly. But a big part of the job, being a head coach, basically CEO, is obviously handling the media, talking to the media, and talking to your team and your fan base through the media as well. So I think he knocked that out of the park. And talking about this with AB this morning, he was saying a lot of people probably don't know this. Antoine Bethea with the Man to Man pod this morning. He said, like, during that run, like, Jeff was really the vocal leader of that team. A lot of people would think, Peyton, and obviously I'm sure he was to an extent as well, but Jeff would be the guys that are getting the guy's face and set the tone
in the locker room,
in the locker room, on the field, things like that. So he's got that part down. Obviously, it's a lot of shit that he's got to deal with that team as far as having a new play caller, O-line sticking, but I loved it. I loved everything about it.
I enjoyed it as well. RG3 echoed some sentiments that we talked about yesterday about how a lot of people are burying Jeff Saturday getting this job opportunity, because of the entire process and his privilege, and he doesn't experience whatever, all that stuff. And, I brought it up. Literally, my first thought was like, this actually might help with the entire process of minority head coaches and everything, because there's always a chatter about the percentage of black guys that are playing in the NFL, and it's very high. And then the coaching, it's very low. And everybody's like, well, why is that? And it makes no sense, but it does if you understand how you have to go about to become a head coach normally in the NFL. So you have an incredible, successful career in the NFL. You get paid a lot of money, your family probably grows, you're doing things, and then you're like pretty successful. And then if you want to get back in the coaching ranks, you're going to be an assistant to somebody. Now you got to eat some humble pie to be a coach to begin with. Everybody understands that. You can't be arrogant or whatever. But just think about a natural human who has lived life like this way, and then they go in. Now they're drawing up cards for somebody just because this coach had the opportunity. You didn't even have the opportunity because you were busy playing in the NFL. You were busy playing in the NFL, so you didn't even have the opportunity to potentially do what this person who you were drawing up cards and getting coffee for couldn't have had the opportunity to do it. Now, you were playing in the NFL when this person was an assistant at some D7 school. You were playing in the NFL when this person was an assistant to at a D1 school. But I get it. This person has been coaching longer. I understand that. So you would have to sit behind those people, then maybe work your way up. And you're probably not being listened to, by the way. Your opinions, you're drawing up these cards, probably not being listened to. You're sleeping in your office. You're fucking 35 years old, 36 years old. You have a successful career, a lot of money, a family, and you're sleeping in the office, drawing cards, getting coffee for people. It's going to run some people away from getting into the coaching business. If Jeff has success, maybe owners who follow the other owners like blind sheep, basically, if they have success doing something, will see this, and more ex-players will be able to get incredible positions quicker, and that'll maybe be enticing for some of the legends of our game, whether it's black, white, Asian, whatever the case, whoever it is, European. Maybe this will give an opportunity for owners to be okay and be allowed to publicly hire a former player to put in a position that maybe they hadn't worked at or got to. That's what's on the line if Jeff is successful, I think, and it seems like that narrative is maybe starting to build a little bit, which is good news. Now, if Jeff rattles off 6 straight stinkers here, which is possible.
For sure.
Which is certainly possible in the NFL. That's not going to be the case, but before a game even starts, if he has success, I do think it'll open some more doors for former players, which I think is good for the overall conversation about everything, AJ Hawk.
Oh, it's absolutely good. And RG3 mentioned in that tweet, like, go to more of like the basketball model, how these guys didn't. Jason Kidd almost went directly from playing to a head coach, didn't he?
A few guys did.
Yeah. I know
Larry Bird.
Steve Kerr obviously went from TV to coaching.
Michael Cole, I watched you watch Jeff Saturday's press conference there for the first time. I'm sure you know that this exists, that Jeff Saturday has gotten hired because you keep up with it. What are your initial thoughts after seeing that press conference? And coaching an NFL team you have no experience of, you wouldn't know about. But former players should be able to do it, right? You would think if they have all the right traits, leadership, they're smart, they're good communicators, they have a good work ethic, they kind of know the system. Like, you would think that would make for a success story. What was your thoughts listening to him speak right there?
And again, I didn't play football, obviously nowhere near a level that you guys were ever at. But
and a fan of a team that is notoriously strong.
Yes, but at the end of the day, it seems to me the head coach in football needs to be a leader, right? That's the number one thing. He needs to put on a good face. He needs to be a leader of men. That's what Saturday was saying in that press conference, and I think everything he said was great. I think if I'm a player for the Colts, I'm excited. This guy seems like he's not a bullshitter, no nonsense. Goes in there. He said, "Listen, I don't know if I'm going to do well at this. I hope I do, but I think I've got the pedigree to do it." And I think it was awesome what he said and how he handled it.
Good promo, huh?
Yeah, great promo.
That was a good promo. I think it was a good babyface promo, honestly. It went big.
Yeah. Well, and he's got to kind of surround himself, right? It's not like every single head coach has done everything on their own for every single great team in the history of the league. Like, he needs good people around him, too, to be successful as a head coach.
You can't bring anybody in, though.
Yeah, can't bring anybody. Nobody's available. Can't bring anybody in.
That's
why
why
he doesn't know anybody.
Parks Frazier, though. That's why he named a guy like Parks Frazier. He sees something in him.
Shit, that was his
like
only
this guy.
option.
Well,
he looked just like him, too.
You know, the eternal optimist in me, Parks Frazier may be the greatest offensive mind in National Football League.
That's right.
Wow.
That's what Jeff said.
Everybody called their first game before, damn it. But nah, in reality, Saturday, obviously, he is an expert in the O-line, right? Spent 14 years there, being a center. You almost have to be a coach playing that long. And that is easily the one group in this team you can look at and say, okay, if this group improves, we can do better. And if he's sitting in, if I'm a coach, if you hire me at this position, and let's say the secondary has just stunk, their worst secondary league, I'm probably spending 85% of my meeting time in that secondary room. Like,
What
all
you
right,
know.
Which I know in and out. So that's one thing. Jeff was with the team during training camp, been a consultant, but now he's in there day in and day out. And now you're actually sitting in there with those guys, with the centers, with the guards, with the tackles.
And you have say.
Yeah, you have real say. So now I expect going
can say
forward
fuck.
for that group, I expect that group to play better. And if that group plays better, I think down the line I see Matt Ryan get back in the lineup, because if I'm Jeff Saturday, I'm not hitching my wagon to Sam. I can't. It's too many. I can't have Sam. I can't have Parks Frazier.
Matt Ryan hasn't really shown much this season that would say you would do it, but I would assume Jeff will be like, hey, how do we make this easier?
Yeah. How do you make it easy on this guy? Let's protect him. Let's get 28 going. Let's get our backs going. But it all starts with that O-line. If they can improve, and maybe that was Jim's thought process in this. Like, hey, if he can get this group going better, we can go from there. But I'm rooting for him.
I'm just fascinated by it all. This will certainly be talked about forever.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I mean, he did the right thing.
It's a masterful plan, though. It's a great plan. Like, we're talking about Jeff Saturday, and should he or should he have not got the job? We're not talking about the Colts and how they've been losing.